It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal! Yes! Yes!
Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 13 of Season 6, the final week of the regular season, as the season mercifully comes to an end for some and continues on for others. Joining me on the program, as always, is Mr. Gazeletsky, one of the people who it's mercifully ending for.
Yep, it's been over.
I mean, you still have the consolation bracket coming up.
No, we don't cover that. That's a big joke.
We cover it as a joke, though.
My fellow teams, welcome to the meaningless part of our season.
Yeah, basically any team that traded with either the Whalers or Eugene, welcome to the meaningless part of the program. Because they got royally fucked on their deals, and every single person that's traded with them are now out of the playoffs, and they're at 1-2. And yep. for teams like me, we're just sitting around waiting for our inevitable decline and end. I feel like, we were talking about this the other day. I felt like, I'm just waiting. I'm in a hiding from the hitman, from the hatchet man coming to get me. And, of course, the hatchet man just kneecapping some of my players like Melvin Gordon, trying to find my location so they can whack me. As I wait for, if it doesn't happen in the first week of the playoffs, just waiting for Eugene or Whalers to be sitting there with their ridiculous teams. All right, well, before we get into any of that and the minimal playoff scenarios that are available, as it seems like pretty much everybody's either in or out, though there's one possibility. Let's get into the games from last week. Where would you like to start on this?
Oh, boy, where would I like to start? Let's see. Let's start off with one of the most meaningless games. Well, what's an actual meaningless game? All right, let's
Nicky Baby versus Lightning Rods? That's pretty damn
Lightning Rods, Nicky Baby.
Okay.
Where the score was just as meaningless as the game.
So the Lightning Rods defeat Nicky Baby 128.34 to 68.52. You can tell Nicky Baby's a team that doesn't give a flying fuck. All right. Lightning Rod still, he's actually moved ahead of the Hagglers. Look at that. At 4-8.
Wow. Yeah. He's uncatchable.
I know. So, for the Lightning Rods, Matthew Stafford with 7.44 points. Aaron Rodgers for Nicky Baby only got 13.92. The receivers for the Lightning Rods, 23.8 points for Jones and 37.90 for Smith-Schuster. Slightly more than Keenan Allen, the other half of the trade with Eugene, who got 20.2 points. And Maurice Harris with a whooping 0. To be outdone, I guess, by Latavius Murray with 3.3 points. And Javorius Allen, the other half of his trade, for 0.20 points for Buck Allen. Doesn't even get a buck there. Marlon Mack for the Lightning Rods gets 11.6 and 11.3 for Tevin Coleman. 11.6 for Jack Doyle. 11.2 for Cook for Nicky Baby. Shepard for Nick, got 7.7 and 5.7 for Allen Robinson. 10 for Nick's kicker, 11 for Tucker for the Lightning Rod's kicker, 8 points for the Lightning Rod's Dallas defense, and 2 for Tennessee for Nicky Baby. Well, first of all, Nicky Baby didn't have Todd Gurley this week, so that kind of hurt him. He also didn't have Elliott, but we know why. So yeah, Nick's just terrible. I mean, he has not recovered from that trade, even remotely.
No.
I mean...
Now, this Buck Allen, 0.2 points for Buck Allen. I mean, that matches his total from the previous week. He also got 0.2 points last week. So this trade clearly paying dividends for Nick Saveri.
So this is his 5th loss in a row. I think. When did he make that trade? Probably right around that time that he started all these losses.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say here. Good for Lightning Rods. I mean, he kept Lamar Miller on the bench for 23.70 points. He's been doing that all season, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, he blew Nick out of the water. I don't think there's anything to analyze here anymore. These two teams.
Yeah, this is almost a kill it Trey game.
Yeah, I mean, they're just fighting for position in the loser bracket, and really, Lightning Rods moves ahead of. Well, he doesn't move ahead of Nicky Baby. He's behind him because of points. You got to feel bad for Nick. 1,722 points. Lightning Rods has 1,552 points. Frankly, Nicky Baby's 1,700 points is more than almost everyone. He's got a record of 4 and 8. So let's see. Oh, no, sorry. Nick only has 15 points. It was 1,700 points against. So 1,500 points. I mean, he would have been in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place with, if you just did it based on points. Odwin's still the lowest by far, although he's catching up to you. But, yeah, whatever. I think there's no need to talk. As Mike Leon says, there's no need. Let's see. Unless you have anything else to say about this game, because I don't.
Absolutely not. That's no.
So that's the most meaningless game. As far as the other games, they technically have implications. I don't even know where to go. They have slight implications. I mean, all of this. That's just seeding in the toe tag division and seeding in the actual thing, even though that's largely decided anyway. But where do you want to go?
Well, let's go. I usually go Dr. Hockey after me, but let's get Dr. Hockey out of the way before me.
All right. So Dr. Hockey, actually, he was hot there for, 2 weeks or something? Now, he's not. I mean, this is a decent score for Hockey, 128. So he loses to the St. Louis Blues, 157.96 to 128.54. The Blues does keep his playoff hopes alive. He's the only team currently not in a playoff spot, not in the top 6, that has a chance to get into the top 6. We'll go into those scenarios a little bit later in the show. But he would have been eliminated with a loss here. But since he didn't, he continues to keep his season alive. Hockey season has been long dead. So for Lombardi, Phillip Rivers gets 26.6 points, 6-6. Drew Brees with 29.44 for Hockey. The receivers for the Blues, 23.5 for Corey Davis and 22.9 for Diggs for Hockey. Devontae Adams had 17.9 points and 11 points from Larry Fitzgerald. The running backs for the St. Louis Blues, 11.10 points for Dion Lewis and 9.9 for David Johnson. For Hockey, the savior, who's now suspended apparently, Leonard Fournette got 25.80 points, and Royce Freeman with a whooping 1.7 points. Eric Ebron, he's been a great tight end this season, although he's listed as questionable. He has a back issue. Anyway, he got 21.50 points. Vance McDonald, the hero of that 1 week, which nobody had him, 5.7 points. Humphreys for the Blues got 17.4 and 17 for Lindsay. So Hockey playing both Denver running backs, one of them good, one of them not. 10 points for the Blues kicker and 15 points for the New Orleans defense. 12 for Hockey's kicker and 8 for the New England defense. Yeah, I mean, this was a this was a game that the Blues needed. And he got, look, this is the kind of score that could keep up with the big boys, frankly. Or at least, well, I don't know about that because they seem to have their players on a bye this week. But at least if he could put up this kind of, point totals, he could win in the playoffs if he can get there. I mean, Hockey, his season's been over for a long time. But, the Blues, first of all, is going to need this kind of point totals next week. And they got it. They performed with their backs against the wall. So credit to him to keep himself alive, at least into the last week of the season. And, I mean, credit to Hockey for, still playing.
Yeah, I mean, Leonard Fournette, the savior since he's come back, has been actually quite impressive after fist fighting and getting thrown out again, however. But, I mean, look at, since his return, 27, 22, and 25. I mean, had Hockey had that all season long, I mean, this might be a story where Hockey's on the brink of getting in.
Yeah, and had he not also traded away McCaffrey early in the season, it could have been a different story as well. So once again, another case of, trading away any possible hopes to the top two teams. Shocker. But yeah. All right. Anything else on this game?
No, other than Lombardi's possible playoff scenarios, which we'll discuss later on. Nothing else to talk about here.
Yeah. All right, next game. You want to go to yours now, which is mine also?
Yeah, let's go to this other fiasco.
I mean, this was a close game, 126.58 to 122.50. I mean, this is the kind of game that, in a normal season where people don't have ridiculous juiced up scores, this was the kind of game that we used to have in this league. Nowadays with, like the Barry Bonds and the Mark McGuire's juicing their bats, this is, a pretty pathetic performance. So the 1603 is win 126.58 to 122.50. The Hagglers' 7th straight loss. Usually you get those those losses out of the way in the beginning. But this year you decided to do it at the end, and I guess it cost you. Let's go into the numbers. Matt Ryan got 25.68 points for the 03ers. The Hagglers got 33.40 points for Deshaun Watson, almost coming back on that Monday night game, but it wasn't quite enough. DeAndre Hopkins for 12.4 points, 21.6 for Emmanuel Sanders. For the 1603ers, 21.30 points from Ridley on that Thursday night game, and 21.5 from Boyd. For the running backs, Ingram only got 8.6 points in that game, and Melvin Gordon, before he was injured, got 20.6 points. For the Hagglers, 6.4 for Adrian Peterson, and 16.6 for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook finally playing a game and getting more than 2 points. Look at that.
Yeah. Look at that.
Hireman, Humor, whatever. He got 6.4 points, 4.8 for Burton. Hireman he's on injured reserve anyway, so he's done. John Connor, the Terminator, has ever since Le'Veon Bell didn't report, he was like, I got this job. Fuck it, I don't need to play. He only got 11.5 points. And Moore got 20.30 points in your flex position. 12 for Rosas, 5 for Crosby for you, -1 for the Jacksonville defense. Wow, have the mighty have fallen from last year, and 2 from the Giants defense. Barber got 14.3 points on your bench. Look at that. For me, Edwards got 11.8 on my bench, which would have been better than Ingram. 12.7 for Herndon, and 26.30 for Eckler on my bench. So, I mean, and Eckler is going to be in there now that Melvin Gordon's out, and I guess Herndon's going to play now that Hireman's out, and we'll see about Edwards. But anyway, close game. This would have been really exciting if it had any stakes in it whatsoever. I mean, I guess it does technically have, it had some stakes for the 1603ers in this game. With this win, we clinch the playoff spot. We also become the only team to have made the playoffs all 6 seasons long. So that's at least something to hold my hat on before I get whacked by one of these other teams. But at least we've made the playoffs every season we've played, and all 6 seasons of this league. So, there's an accomplishment for my team. For the Hagglers, we all know that you just want this thing to end already.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have nothing else to say about this game. I barely even paid attention to this week because it was the writing was on the wall in terms of we know we're going to make the playoffs, but we also feel like, we're going to get crushed by almost any one of these teams. We'll get into those playoff scenarios later, but yeah. Anything else you want to say about this game?
No, let's just move on to the next game.
Okay. Well, let's look at the other team that was free fallen. They're free fallen. Nick and Jamie, the once mighty Nick and Jamie, losing to Tillett Trey team in a rout, 171.42 to 117.04. I got to say, Tillett Trey is one of the teams that I do not want to face in these playoffs. I actually probably will, but he's been really hot lately. I think he's one of the 3 teams that I think actually has a legitimate chance, and he hasn't made any trades. He's just doing it based on good old fashioned, drafting and stuff like that. I mean, and like even in the auction this week, I was going for the Denver defense. I bid $10. He bid 11. He's pretty savvy, and I think we both looked at the remaining schedule for the Broncos, and I have to hand it to Tillett. And this is not to take away from Eugene or Whalers. I mean, they made the trades. They made them legitimately. It's interesting how, everybody's up in arms with the Le'Veon Bell trade last year, but Buck Allen and Keenan Allen for Ezekiel Elliott gets hardly any press from the peanut gallery there, but whatever. Nonetheless, I am one who defends trades, so, they did make savvy moves. Zach Ertz for Tyreek Hill. Zach Ertz and Tyreek Hill for Antonio Brown. Who else did he get out of that deal? I don't even know.
Who knows?
Who cares? It's not like Miner's probably even playing that guy. Anyway, all right. So, going into the numbers of this game, Andrew Luck with 31.62 points for Tillett Trey. Comparing that to the Carson Wentz, who only got 15.24. For Nick and Jamie, their receivers got 19.5 from T.Y. Hilton and only 7 from Golden Tate, who's not been that great on Philadelphia since he's gotten there. For Tillett, 17.60 points from Mike Evans and 21.5 from Lockett. I said a while ago he should have been starting to play Lockett. He finally is, and look at what's happening there. For Nick and Jamie, they're playing both New England running backs, and, James White was a phenom earlier in the season, 8.8 points this game, and 22.5 for Sony Michel. For Tillett, one of his, I think clearly his best player, Saquon, got 33.20 points and only 9 points for Isaiah Crowell, but still pretty good there from the running back position. Gronk finally showed up with 14.6, but he wasn't quite matched, but he came close with Jordan Reed, who got 13.5. 18.4 for Edelman for Nick and Jamie, and then Amari Cooper, keeping him in there. Look at that, gets 38 points. For him in that game. Gostkowski got 9, and Indianapolis 2 for Nick and Jamie, and 5 for Matt Bryant, and 2 for the Washington defense. Yeah, I mean, this Tillett Trey team is, they're getting hot at the right time. And they're a team that I think that people have to watch out for.
Yeah, I would say they're getting a little bit more than hot. They're smoking right now.
Yeah, I mean, how many, so, let's see. How many have they won in a row? So they've won 3 in a row. And yeah, they've had pretty big point totals lately. So I mean, they're definitely a team that teams have to watch out for. Now they are one of the teams that are vulnerable. They a loss this week and it opens up things. But yeah, I mean, you got to feel good about their chances going into the playoffs. For Nick and Jamie, I mean, talked about
they definitely pushed down on the elevator.
They jumped down the shaft of that elevator. I don't know what the hell happened to this team. I mean, they look atrocious.
I mean, given a couple more weeks, they're lucky it's this week. Given a couple more weeks, they might not even have made the playoffs.
I know. Well, I mean, basically, so how many have they lost in a row now? So they have now lost 4 in a row. They're 7-5. So basically, they were 7-1. And now have lost 4 in a row. I mean, had they not built up, I was basically like, 7 wins usually makes the playoffs. We're good. We're going to take off this month to go on vacation. Maybe they could get it back. But things are not looking good for this Nick and Jamie team right now, unless something changes. I don't know. I think this is just the story of two teams on one on opposite elevators right now. And Tillett Trey is definitely on his way up. And Nick and Jamie just, I don't know. They ever since that second loss, they've just sucked. I don't have anything else to say about that game. You?
No, pretty self-explanatory.
All right, well, let's talk about the two most likely championship teams. Which championship team would you like to talk about first?
Well, let's go with the Whalers over Black Ice Dynasty.
Okay, Whalers over the team that basically handed him the championship. So the Whalers beat Black Ice Dynasty 145.42 to 123.68, basically taking the players that Miner gave him and beating him over the head with them as if he ripped off the guy's leg and used it as a stump to beat him over the head with. All right, so Baker Mayfield gets 33.92 points, filling in for... I guess he's not even filling in. He doesn't even have a quarterback. I mean, Trubisky was injured. I mean, that's, I guess, his quarterback. Baker Mayfield. Okay, and he's getting him 3.92 points. I don't even know where that... I mean... Okay. Sure. I don't understand fantasy football anymore, so it doesn't matter. Jameis Winston for Black Ice Dynasty, trying to play a little bit turnabout is fair play, because I know that Whalers used to have Fitzmagic. Miner went in and got Winston. I think he paid like $50 for him or something. 26.88 points for him. For Black Ice Dynasty, Antonio Brown, look at that, 15.70 points. Not even as much as Zach Ertz, let alone whoever else he got in that trade. 12 points for Josh Gordon for the Whalers, 14 for Galladay, and 1.3 for Valdez-Scantling. I mean, that's 2 bad games for that guy in a row. Oof. 1.3 and 1.8. Yikes. Not that it matters when you have Kamara and Mixon and Ertz and Chubb and everything else. So 10.8 points for Kamara and 22.5 for Mixon for the Whalers. For Black Ice Dynasty, 16.4 for Adams, and Drake got 26.6. Greg Olson only had 3.10 points for Miner and 22.1 for Zach Ertz. Not bad there. 27.8 for Nick Chubb and 6 points for Landry. The Chargers kicker for Miner got 9 and 10 and 8 for the Chargers defense. For the Whalers, 4 for Prater and 9 for Houston. So Whalers gets 145 points in a week where Tyreek Hill wasn't even in the game. So, yeah. Oh. Yeah. What are you even going to say there? I mean, yeah. Look, I think actually in terms of giving Whalers credit, I mean, look, the Zach Ertz trade was obviously very, very good and worked out in his favor. I don't think that I don't know. I mean, he's picked up Baker Mayfield. He's done, he picked up Nick Chubb. He did things to really boost his team. So I don't think that you could completely say that it's based on the trade. I think the trade definitely fucked over Minor. No, I'm not saying fucked over Minor, but I'm just saying fucked Minor. It didn't fuck him over, but it did fuck him. He was not the same after that. Yeah, I mean he drops to 5-7. He's eliminated from the playoffs. So yeah, it didn't work in his favor. I'm not commenting on the legitimacy or anything else because I know how sensitive people get about trades. But yes, no, he's been not the same team since he made that trade. I mean, look, he probably thought that Greg Olsen was going to pan out for him so he could so that Ertz was expendable. Apparently not. Anyway, Whalers does, good job here, and yeah, I mean, he really did pick up some players, so I give him a lot of credit for how he's. First of all, I give him credit for the trade. I mean, for being savvy enough to make the trade, and then for filling in the pieces there, like especially a quarterback. So good for Whalers here, and yeah, he most likely is headed for a bye. We'll get into that in a bit when we look at the next week's games, but he can finish no lower than third place at this point. So, good season for him. For Minor, he had a chance. I mean, Minor's good for large portions of the season, but after the trade, he was kind of just fucked. Kind of like Nick. I don't know. Anything else about this game?
No, I think you pretty much said it all.
All right, that moves us to the number... Oh, God. The number one team in the league. Dave's Secret Crush. Crushing Fitzmagic. 167.08 to 134.66. In a week, by the way, that didn't even have Mahomes. So that's got to feel good. All right. Yeah. Cousins fills in to get 33.38 points for... the Crush, 25.96 for Russell Wilson. Michael Thomas only 7.8 points and 0 points for Tyrell Williams out of the receiving corps from the from Eugene. For the Millennials, 13.5 points from Beckham and 26.5 points from Thielen. Now Eugene's shitty wide receiver performance is irrelevant because the two running backs that he traded for, McCaffrey and Elliott, 46.7 and 25.30 points. Look at what would this Eugene team be if he did not have these, if he didn't get McCaffrey from hockey and Elliott from Nicky Baby. My God, would this team be garbage? I mean, look what he's filling in. Tyrell Williams with 0 points. All right. 11.6 from Brait, 18.3 from Jones. I do think he picked up Jones somewhere else. 6 points from Parkey, and 18 from the Baltimore defense. All right, for Fitzmagic, 18.9 from Cohen, 13 points from Riddick, 14.30 from Jay Smith. I don't know, Jonnu Smith. Out of Tennessee, and then 2.5 from Howard. I mean, look, one of the problems that Fitzmagic is having here is that he's playing two Chicago running backs. I mean, they're not both going to keep up with, like, McCaffrey and Elliott. 7 points for Lutz and 13 for the Chicago defense. Yeah, I mean, all right, look, and he left Demaryius Thomas on the bench with 19.8 points. He's got to he's got to figure out the Chicago running back that he wants to go with and just get that guy in there and then put the other one on the bench and put in Thomas in the flex or something. That's at least what he could do to salvage his season. I mean, for Eugene, I mean, this guy, I mean, I can certainly tell you that I got trade offers all season long. Just like the most ridiculous thing after ridiculous thing after ridiculous thing. All rejected. But I mean, he found some people to go through it, and he caught. What were you saying the other day? He caught the bait.
Oh yeah, he just kept throwing lures lined with shit into the water. So he finally got a hit on each side of the boat. One was Nicky Baby, and the other was Dr. Hockey, and he just reeled them in. I mean, he was just fishing all season long with pure manure and turds at the end of the line. And he hooked somebody, probably hooked Nicky Baby in the back as he was swimming by. I mean, I can't imagine anybody going for these trades, but he found two all-day suckers and spin them into championship gold.
Yeah,
I mean, look at McCaffrey and Elliott. I mean, two decent. I mean, Elliott was one of the top 4 in the draft, and McCaffrey, you probably put him at 8, 9. And he was pretty decent for what he got. Look at Buck Allen got 0.2 points. I mean, first of all, Nicky Baby has been a corpse since that trade. We haven't seen. Remember, he was high showboating earlier in the season.
Yeah, back when he used to come on the podcast because he was so good.
Right. As a matter of fact, our viewer complained the podcast was too long because Nicky B was rambling on and on and on about himself. That 1 week. Since then, he made that horrid trade and has disappeared like a phantom in the night. While we are paying the price for his shenanigans. Not to be outdone, though, by Dr. Hockey, who, as a train wreck season, along with myself record-wise, but at least I don't throw away the farm for whatever garbage he got. Like, what did he get? Ricky Seals-Jones? Or
yeah, I think he traded away to Delaney. He was like Delaney Walker and Ricky Seals-Jones were part of the trade, I think.
Yeah, he packaged that up just like a shit cake. He baked a shit cake for Dr. Hockey, and he dove right in.
Well, I mean, look, at least Adams, he's been pretty good for hockey. But I mean, you've seen, look, there's a lot more availability and supply of wide receivers than there are running backs. And he gave away, so I mean, this is what really tanked hockey season. He gave away McCaffrey and Fournette, the savior. Was out for the season, so he had no running backs at that point. So great, okay, you have a good wide receiver. I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's a an unfair trade or anything else like that. I'm just saying it's a dumbass trade. Like, there's more value in running backs, at least this season, than there are, especially running backs that are the only running back on their team. That are not a running back by committee.
What Eugene offered me throughout the season, I should have kept a log of it. He would pick players out of the garbage can, package them together, and try and trade for superstars. I mean, it was pure shit. It was a shit cake that he would bake. And he just found some teams that just went for it. I don't know why.
Yeah, he would.
So imagine adding DeAndre Hopkins to this lineup for shit.
Yeah, he would literally. There was somebody that he picked up for $0 in the free agent auction, which means that nobody went after him. And then the next day, I would get trade offers for like my best players for that guy that he picked up out of the trash can, where it's like, I could have picked up, if I wanted that trash can garbage, I could have picked it up myself. I could have spent $1 for it and gotten it. But no, but now because you have, I don't know, Sanu, I don't think that you're entitled to Connor and Melvin Gordon in a 2-for-1 deal. Sorry. But whatever. For Nicky Baby, why not? Buck Allen for, and the Allen brothers, for probably the number 4 running back in the league. I mean, I know that we have not heard about the Le'Veon Bell thing for a year, but I gotta say, I think the Buck Allen, Keenan Allen trade is way. What did you get out of the thing that went? Lombardi went on and 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 on all season about that Le'Veon Bell trade. And what was that deal? It was like Stephon Diggs
and Doug Martin for Le'Veon Bell.
Okay. Stephon Diggs, who by the way is blowing it up this season. Doug Martin, I think. LeVar, now granted, these were on different teams last year, but Doug Martin this week, he ended up getting 16.20 points. Yeah, I wouldn't have made the trade that you made last year, but I mean, as ridiculous as that trade might have been, Buck Allen, and Keenan Allen. for Ezekiel
where's
Elliott.
the Lombardi, police? He just overlooked this one. How convenient.
Yeah,
His office partner.
Yeah,
his shady office partner who he works with.
Exactly. Is he on the payroll or something? What's going on there? Is he like the KGB? I don't understand what's going on in that office. Does he just pay him to be his Fox News and go out there and throw shit? But meanwhile, we have just as ridiculous a trade. Not a peep. I mean, maybe there was a peep. I don't know. Maybe there was maybe he's just resigned to it at this point. Eugene's going to just fuck over somebody anyway. Whatever. I'm used to it. I don't know. But feel free to chime in how ridiculous this trade is, how it was, and how it completely turned around this man's season. This team, other than the people that he bilked, is an atrocious team. I'm sorry, he's probably going to win the championship. I'm saying this about the team that's probably going to win the championship. But what is he? Michael Thomas hasn't done dick in weeks. I mean, 7.8 points. All right, he has 19 points last week, whatever. But I'll give you Michael Thomas. But other than that, okay. Tyrell Williams, 0 points.
He picked up Jones, which is a pretty savvy move. So you got to give him that. 18
I will
points.
give him that.
So his RB1 would be Jones at this point. He
Sure.
wouldn't have the outlandish 46 points from McCaffrey. Okay? And he probably loses this week without that.
Yeah. Yeah, you take away 46 points. You take away 46
points from McCaffrey. 33% of his score.
I know.
From Dr. Hawk, I mean, once again, these guys. But again, this is what I get for just all trades stand. I have to look at stuff like this.
Well, and then Ezekiel
cake into the water, and somebody's going to eat it.
I know. And then Ezekiel Elliott, 25.40 points. So he would have gotten the Aaron Jones thing, which fine. 18.3 points was fine. Who was his other running back? Chris Carson, 14.30 points. All right, fine. Legitimate numbers. Sanu with 11.7, one of the other people that was constantly a worm on the hook for shit bait. I don't even,
whatever.
Exactly. Just fishing out there in the ocean. I think he was. Wasn't he? Yeah, I saw the pictures. He was on vacation. Was he out there fishing for another fucking whale to reel in for next season? Who's next? I mean, at this point, if you're Eugene next year, I would just bid what is the minimum? $14. Bid $14 on the team and then trade them all away to these boneheads. Hey, Nick. I picked up a team for $14. I'll trade you my whole team for Gurley and fucking Walter Payton's ghost and whatever. I don't even care. Just whatever. Just give me your all-star team.
Mind you, how Nicky Baby would be scoring 200-plus points a game had he kept his original auction day lineup.
He was scoring 200 points a game. He was ridiculous. He was blowing people out. He still, he had a huge point total lead. I mean, we thought, how many weeks did he get, massive point totals? Eugene was not doing this. He was not doing this until the Nicky Baby trade. And Nick's like, yeah, I'm going to go for that. I mean, basically, how many teams has Nick built? And Nick, look, I think Nick is, I feel like Nick is an excellent drafter and a terrible manager. He's fantastic at picking out talent and then just giving away. He gave me away, in full disclosure, he gave me away Connor for Kittle.
And he dropped Ridley.
He dropped Ridley.
A fantastic season.
Yeah. I mean, if Nick would have kept any semblance of his former team and not sold it away like the Marlins to Jeter or whatever that thing was, I mean, it's ridiculous. We would be having a completely different discussion now.
And conveniently disappears off the face of the earth while other teams run roughshod with his boneheaded, one-sided landslide trading tactics.
We might have to get back to the Scottco versus Harletz-Mineri Groko kind of thing, where we just, if he's going to be a sucker, he should just be our sucker.
Well, Buck Allen gets 0.2 points Whew, what a saving. By Raptar's hammer, what a point total.
Yeah, with 68 points. By the way, 68 points, only 20 points more than McCaffrey got. So, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for last week's games. We can look. Well, before we look forward to next week's games, or quote unquote look forward to it, let's go over the standings. As we know, Dave's Secret Crush 10-2, the Whalers 9-3. So those are and interesting enough, those teams will be playing each other. So that scenario is pretty much laid out. I don't really know what's happening with 3 through 6. In terms of seeding, I mean, it's really going to be dependent on what happens with this week's games. But the one playoff scenario where one of the 6 teams, I mean, look, if the Blues wins, he would be 7-5. So he would need either Fitzmagic, Nick and Jamie, or Tillit Trey to lose. Now, the only one that he's realistically within point range of is Tillit Trey. So he trails Tillit Trey by 34 points, I believe it is. It's 18. No. So he has 1482. Tillit has 1506. So some quick math at 6.
Yes, he's 24 points behind.
24 points, sorry. So he's 24 points behind Tillit Trey. So basically the Blues this week is not only playing to win, but he's playing to beat Tillit Trey team by 25 points, essentially. If he gets 25 more points than Tillit Trey, he gets a win, and Tillit Trey loses, he'll be in. Other than that, the scenario has become a little bit tougher. I mean, he trails Nick and Jamie. It's like 54 plus 18. I mean, look, Nick and Jamie has been a train wreck lately, and I mean, if you look at last week's game, I mean, he beat him by he had 157. Nick and Jamie had 117. I mean, it's possible if Nick and Jamie got a Nicky Baby like score for the Blues to catch up to them with a loss. I mean, Fitzmagic he's got over 100 and I mean, he's not going to catch Fitzmagic in this. So even if Fitzmagic loses, he should still make the playoffs. Technically, he could catch him, but he would need well over 100 points more than him. So as long as he doesn't sit his entire lineup, he should clinch a playoff spot there. So those are the 2 scenarios that could get the Blues in. But first of all, the Blues have to win to even give themselves a shot to get into the playoffs. And then they need either Nick and Jamie or Tillit Trey to lose, and then they need to beat them by points. So with that setup, we can go look at this week's upcoming games. All right. So do we want to do we want to start with the Blues and what they have to? Let's start with them. So they're going to play the Lightning Rods. So this is a very winnable game for them. Right now they're projected to win 121.77 to 116.13. He's got Phillip Rivers going at Pittsburgh. The Lightning Rods have Stafford versus the Rams, so that's a tough matchup there. Corey Davis playing against the Jets. It's a good matchup, but he's still Corey Davis. I mean, some weeks he does fantastic, some weeks he doesn't. Same kind of thing with Diggs, who's playing at New England. Lightning Rod's strength has always been their wide receivers. Julio Jones versus Baltimore, so a really tough matchup there. And Smith-Schuster versus the Chargers. Another decently tough matchup. The running back situation, David Johnson at Green Bay and Deion Lewis versus the Jets. So, I mean, not necessarily a bad matchup there. Marlon Mack at Jacksonville, so that's tough. And Tevin Coleman versus Baltimore, another really tough matchup. For the tight end, the Lightning Rods have nobody. I mean, I guess they'll have to pick up somebody, I don't know, that might add to their point total and give them a better shot. Ebron, if he plays, he's been really good. He's playing at Jacksonville, though, so that also is a tough matchup. Humphreys versus Carolina, that's actually a game where he could get a lot of points. Allen Robinson II playing at the Giants, I don't see much happening there. Santos and the New Orleans defense for the Blues. Tucker and the Rams for the Lightning Rods. I do think that, the Blues does win this game, making it interesting. The question is, will they get more points And Tillett, I don't know. Or will they get more points than Nick and Jamie? I'm not sure, but I do think that the Blues will win this game to at least give themselves a shot.
Yeah, I agree. I favor the Blues in this one. Lightning Rods will probably put in Jesse James, but other than that, I think the Blues has this one in hand.
Yeah, it's just a question of how much they have it in hand. All right, so let's move let's move to Nick and Jamie first. So Nick and Jamie playing Nicky Baby, or what's left of that team that's not on Eugene's team. Right now, Nick and Jamie is favored to win 129.63 to 95.66. Whoa! Well, all right. He's got Gurley on the bench, so he's going to clearly put him in. But all right. So Wentz versus Washington against Aaron Rodgers versus Arizona. I think Aaron Rodgers will have a good game there. For Nicky Baby, Keenan Allen at Pittsburgh and Harris, the guy with 0 points at Philadelphia next week. I think Allen will do okay, and Harris will still get 0. For Nick and Jamie, T.Y. Hilton at Jacksonville. A tough matchup there. And Golden Tate versus Washington. He hasn't been that good lately either, so tough matchup there. But can Keenan Allen, the other half of the garbage can, hold it off? I don't know. Who does he play? Latavius Murray or Buck Allen? Which RB2 does he sit? He's got Gurley back. I don't know.
Do you sit the guy who gets 0.2 points 2 weeks in a row for Todd Gurley, bona fide superstar?
Or do you sit Latavius Murray, the backup to Dalvin Cook? I would sit Buck Allen. At this point, put Todd Gurley in there. Yeah, so I mean, Nick and Jamie have his two running backs, White and Michelle, playing versus Minnesota. That's a tough matchup right there. Gronk also versus, well, basically all of Nick and Jamie's team against Minnesota, because it's Gronk and Edelman and Koskowski. Basically everything from there on down, and playing against Minnesota.
Look at Buck Allen's season totals. 110 yards rushing on the season. Does that sound like legitimate trade bait for Ezekiel Elliott? You tell me. Prior to the trade, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. After the trade, he still has 3 rushing touchdowns.
He's also
I don't even. If you thought his numbers were atrocious before the trade, okay, let's look at what he's done since the trade. Okay, 1 yard rushing, 3 yards rushing. This is for the game. This is not a carry. This is for the game. 0 yards rushing for the game. 6 yards rushing. Whoa. Putting up some big numbers there. And then 2 yards rushing and 2 yards rushing for the game. Not yards per carry.
Frankly,
this is a joke. This is a joke.
I think Nicky Baby could put on some pads, go out for Baltimore, and get better numbers for himself than Buck Allen could at this point. I think Nicky Baby can get 2 yards. Don't you? I mean, Nick Zaveri. You put on the pads.
Yards. Okay. Since the trade, he has rushed for 14 yards and 0 touchdowns in 6 games. 6 games, okay? 14 yards in 6 games. Well, what did he trade away? Ezekiel Elliott. Who needs that guy when I can get these kind of numbers? I've never seen totals like that. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I'm surprised Gurley's still on the team. He must have ran out of time on the on the trade deadline, because, I mean, Eugene, he still had Cameron Brate available to trade him for Gurley.
You know what? If I want Nicky Baby to make the playoffs next year, I'm going to wait till he's done with the auction, and then I'm going to lock his team so he can't do anything to it. And he'll probably win the championship.
I know. That's the sad thing. Keep your finger off the trigger, Nick, and you could actually be a champion.
Right. Walk away. Put your lineup and just walk away. Pay somebody to come in every Sunday, give them your login, and set the lineup for you, and just
have your
mail
wife
you
do
the
it.
Championship paperwork.
Have your 2-year-old do it, because clearly Nick knows he can spot talent. He knew. Look at all the talent on his team. Just walk away from the trades. Just let somebody go to the auction because he's fantastic at it, and then just walk away. Collect your money in January after letting your wife or your daughter, who's 2 or 3 years old, let her do it, and she'll set a better lineup than you, and make sure that she has all say on your trades. No, Daddy, no. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously Nick and Jamie's going to win this game. Because, I mean, he's... but, I mean, I don't know. Did they get a lot of points? I don't think... What did I say? They needed 50-something? Lombardi needed 50 more points than Nick and Jamie. I don't know. I mean, he's got... Lombardi should be a very big Minnesota fan this week. Because if Minnesota can contain, if the Patriots shit the bed against New England, then Lombardi can sneak in over Nick and Jamie. I mean, they still need a big effort from themselves. Do you think that they could make it? I don't think they're going to get enough for that.
No, I don't think so.
But I do think that Nick... Also, it's not going to matter. Here's the other thing. Nick and Jamie's going to win. Because Nicky Baby doesn't have a team anymore. You just traded them all away. Right, so it doesn't matter. So Nick and Jamie's going to make it. So, sorry, Lombardi. You don't even have to worry about that game. Focus on this next game, which is the 1603ers versus Tillett Trey. Lombardi actually rooting for my team. And unfortunately, on a week where I don't give a fuck about what happens, because I've already clinched the playoff spot. And I don't. I mean, I'm still gonna play, obviously, but I've already started building my arsenal as best as I can for 2 weeks from now. I have not paid. I'm playing the best players I have this week, but I don't give a flying fuck about this week. I'm still gonna try to pull it home for you, Lombardi. I'm still gonna, whatever. Although I have a terrible record against Tillett. So let's look at this actual game. All right, so I picked up Dak Prescott. He's playing New Orleans tomorrow night. I think it's a good chance for him to have actually a pretty good game. Andrew Luck at Jacksonville, kind of a tough game for him. Reynolds Wrap at Detroit, and Samuel at Tampa Bay. I think those are decent matchups for both of those players. We'll see if Samuel plays. If not, I guess I'll put in Captain Kirk or some other shit. I don't even know. For Tillett, Mike Evans, and Tyler Lockett. Evans versus Carolina, so he should have a good game. And Lockett versus San Francisco, also going to have a good game. Saquon, doesn't matter who he plays, is going to have a good game versus Chicago. And then we have Connor, who, now that, like I said, now that Bell's in there, he doesn't give a flying fuck either, playing the Chargers. Isaiah Crowell at Tennessee for Tillett. And then we have Gus Edwards, Rutgers' own Mr. Gus Edwards. Going to give him a shot against Atlanta. I think he'll get more points than Buck Allen, but, whatever. At the tight end, Jordan Reed, who's actually been really hot lately, going against Herndon at Tennessee. I think Reed has a better game than Herndon. Amari Cooper versus New Orleans. I think he'll have a good game, although you never know with him, but I still think that he'll actually have a good game. Versus Eckler, the Melvin Gordon replacement at Pittsburgh. He should have a decent game. Brett Maher, the Dallas kicker, and the Detroit defense against Matt Bryant and the clearly what's going to be the Denver defense if he ever decides to set a lineup, which he should, being that he needs to win this game. I think Tillett wins this game, which would effectively eliminate Lombardi. But let's say that he doesn't. He has tough enough. I mean, I think that the Evans, Lockett, Barkley combo should be enough, and Reed, and maybe even Cooper at this point. His team is actually good. Other than Crowell, his team is actually really good. I think that's going to be enough to stave off Lombardi, even with a loss. Frankly, at this point, this is more than anything. The thing that I'm playing for is that there's a good chance that if I lose, I would play Tillett again next week, and I don't want to do that. So I have extra incentive to try to eliminate him at this point.
Yeah, you probably would.
Yeah, I'd like Lombardi to sneak in there. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts about this game otherwise, or in general, or whatever?
This round doesn't really matter. I mean, next round, you're most likely going to play Tillett 2 weeks in a row. I don't want to give away your secrets. Is that why you're playing Reynolds Wrap and Gus Edwards?
I want to take them out for a spin. It's not that like I have that much
to take garbage players out for a spin.
I mean, what am I going to do? To play Tyler Boyd? He's been dog shit lately, especially. I mean, ever since AJ Green got out, since he got injured, and they could just focus it on Boyd, and he sucks dick. Ridley, I mean, he's playing Baltimore.
Prescott. This is an interesting lineup.
Ingram Ingram, he either gets like 25 points or he gets 8. So whatever. I'm going to give, look, Gus Edwards has been playing all right lately. I mean, what did Gus get last week? He got 11 points, 19.5 the week before, and he's playing Atlanta this week. I think that's where you go. Let's see.
I'm surprised you're not taking Jordy Nelson out for a spin.
I don't have him. Maybe I should trade Nick for him.
Although Tillett Trey is taking Isaiah Crowell for a spin. It's interesting. This is a game it seems like nobody wants to win.
Well, at least with our win last week, we've clinched the playoff spot, so we don't have to win this game. We will be in there, but it's just a question of who we play. Like I said, if we lose, then there's a good chance I think that we get knocked down to 6th. And Tillett, Nick and Jamie's probably going to win this. I mean, Nick and Jamie could be... I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. This is what I said. I don't know the scenarios. I mean, there's so much that's going on. It's really dependent on points and stuff. But, Tillett will definitely... If they do win this, then they definitely clinch a playoff spot with this. If they lose, then there is a chance Lombardi sneaks in. But I'm picking Tillett to win this game. Tillett should want to win this game. Let me just say that, because he could at least shut the door on any other possibilities.
Okay.
Because 30-something points, or 24 points, 25 points, that's nothing. I mean, Lombardi can legitimately get that if he were to lose. So.
Yeah, that is true. So Tillett actually he doesn't have the luxury of taking people out for a spin.
No, he doesn't. All right, now that we've gotten 2 games that mean something out of the way, let's go to the ones that mean absolutely nothing. Well, no, okay. Well, the one game that means absolutely nothing is you versus Black Ice Dynasty. I mean, right now the current projection is 121.23 to 120.67. I mean, whatever.
Exactly. Why even bother to go over this game?
Yeah, let's save some time for Whalers, because I know he doesn't want to listen to anything too long. I don't even need to go over that. Who cares? Anything stand out? Watson and Hopkins versus Cleveland. That's kind of good for you.
Who cares? Why even waste your time analyzing?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right. Well, it's a question of whether or not you fall into last place or not. Because with hockey nipping on your heels, let's look at his game for a second. He's playing Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic's projected to get 142.97 over hockey's 109.48. This does mean something in terms of Fitzmagic does need... theoretically, if the Millennials loses this game, then... and just sat his entire team, then Lombardi could catch him, but it's not going to happen. So he's going to, for all intents and purposes, he did clinch the playoff spot. All right, but do I even give a shit? Hockey's got Fournette, who's suspended in there. Nothing. None of this. I don't even. I'm not wasting my breath. Unless you want to.
No, thanks.
All right, Fitzmagic probably wins that game. Which could put them in 3rd place. If they do. That's the one thing about that. Who else do we have? I mean, there's the one game that actually means everything. So we've gone through all the other games, right? Blues Lightning, Nicky Baby, Nicky Jimmy. All right, so the one game. This is actually an interesting thing. First of all, it's our two listeners who we spent mercilessly mocking this podcast. Although we haven't really mocked them, we've kind of backhandedly praised them for their ability to go fishing. I mean, he's a hell of a fisherman. Anyway, this is the game for first place. So here's the scenario right now. Dave's Secret Crush has a 1-game lead on the Whalers, but the Whalers has a third... It doesn't even matter. He has a point total lead on Dave's Secret Crush. So if the Whalers wins this game, he would, by winning, he would have more points than Eugene. So if Whalers wins this, they'll be tied in record, and Whalers will be in first place. If Eugene wins this game, he will have a better record, so he will be in first place, which would knock Whalers down to second place unless the 1603ers score 72 more points, 73 more points than the Whalers this week, which I don't see happening. But that's the only way that the 1603ers can get into a bye and knock the Whalers down into. So that's not going to happen. So basically, this is the first game. This is who's going to get first place and who's going to get second place. These two teams are going to be on a bye next week, most likely, unless something ridiculous happens. But essentially, this is a game for first place, which is important in terms of every year the first place team has won the championship except for one. I wonder who that happened to. Also, the first place team plays the lowest seed in the next round. So, yeah, and you want to be in first place for the regular season. You get the President's Trophy. Not that there's anything to actually hand out. That's just a hockey term, but whatever. Anyway, bragging rights and everything else. And this is a possible and probable matchup for the championship game. But let's see. Let's actually dig into this one. So right now, Dave's Secret Crush is projected to win by 150.95 to 144.81. This is, yeah, all right. So Mahomes at Oakland. All right. Very good in favor of Eugene in that one. Lamar Jackson, yayos, at Atlanta. I would have gone with Mayfield, frankly, but okay. Yeah, why is he picking up Lamar Jackson? I mean, the guy doesn't pass. I mean, yeah, he gets some points on the ground, but he's played... Okay, so he's played Cincinnati, who was the #1 defense for giving up points. He got 16.9. Then he played Oakland, 24.22 points. I mean, these are pedestrian numbers. There's got to be somebody better that he would go out there and get. But okay, fine. Whatever. Michael Thomas at Dallas and Mike Williams. So he picked up the other Williams. He picked up the Williams sisters. So now he's picking up the other one at Pittsburgh for Eugene. Going against the Whalers, Galladay and Tyreek Hill at Oakland. So Mahomes will be throwing to Whalers quarterback. I mean, to his wide receiver. We kind of saw this happen with hockey and Nicky Baby a few weeks ago, where Rodgers threw all of his points to hockey's receiver. I don't think it'll be that extreme because there are other weapons on Kansas City, but I do think that Tyreek Hill will have a good game here and will outplay Williams and Thomas combined, and Galladay will do fine. Then we get to the running back battle. Kamara and Mixon. So Kamara's playing at Dallas on Thursday night, and Mixon versus Denver. Against McCaffrey at Tampa Bay, and Elliott versus New Orleans. So clearly an edge in the matchup there in the running backs for Eugene. Whalers then comes in with his edge in Zach Ertz versus Washington against Brait versus Carolina. Then Chubb versus Jones. So Chubb is playing at Houston, and Jones versus Arizona. Two good matchups there at wide receiver. For Eugene, Parkey, the Chicago kicker, at the Giants, and the Baltimore defense at Atlanta. which actually is a good matchup, especially since at the Atlanta, I mean, they had no offensive. They've been pathetic. I watched that game on Thursday night. They have no line to defend Matt Ryan. All right, Butker, the kicker for Kansas City for the Whalers, which actually, helps him a little. If any drive stalls, then he could pick up some points there. And then the Houston defense versus Cleveland. So, who do you got winning first place? I think Eugene's going to win this game.
Yeah, I think Eugene pulls it out.
Yeah. I think it'll be a close one, though. I mean, I think the edge at quarterback helps him. And the running back edge. I mean, I think that the running backs for Eugene are better. I mean, not that the Whalers running backs aren't good, but I think that they're better. I think, Ertz is obviously better than Brate, but Chubbs and Jones really can keep pace with each other. So I really think when you look at the couple of matchups where, there's a mismatch. I mean, look, Whalers could have an advantage with Tyreek Hill over Williams and Thomas. But I don't think it's going to be more than the running back edge. So, yeah, I do think Eugene wins this game. And secures himself some first place. And then they'll probably meet again in 3 weeks, right? Or something like that, whatever it is.
Whatever the championship game is.
Yeah, so they could do it all over again. How depressing is that? Eugene's going to be in first place. I don't know what happened this season. And what's even more depressing if Eugene isn't than the Whalers is. Groan. At least there are listeners. I give them credit for being listeners. But the old me in the center would not be happy about this matchup. Could you imagine like a BHL anything with these two? Just wait for the next season. All right. So, who is your lock of the week and the upset of the week? My lock of the week is Nikki.
Lock of the week. Let's see. Anybody playing Nick?
Yeah, Nick and Jamie versus Nikki B. I mean, here's the thing. Nick and Jamie suck, too. And Nikki Baby's going to put in Todd Gurley, so so I'm actually not going to do that as my lock of the week. I don't think that's my lock.
Upset of the week would probably, who cares? Hockey over Fitz Magic, I guess.
I'm going to go with that as my lock of the week. I think my upset of the week is going to be Nikki Baby over Nick and Jamie. Why not? By Grabthar's hammer, why not? What a savings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got nothing else to say. So that's going to do it for the regular season for most of us. I know you're all looking forward to exciting wild card action next week. Both in the consolation bracket and the and the real one. Most likely, it looks like the toe taggers. So you and Oddwin are almost definitely going to be playing next week in the wild card against Nikki Baby and the Lightning Rods to completely eliminate them for the tray. Well, the tray game would happen in 2 weeks because whoever loses that ends up playing in the 12th place team. So you don't want to be in the tray game, so you want to at least win your consolation shit game. So Hackers will probably play Lightning Rods, your favorite rival, and Nikki Baby will probably play the Whalers. And then the buys would be probably the Blues unless they get in there, in which case it'll be Tillett who will just mop up the consolation bracket. But yeah, and could you imagine if Tillett actually went back into the consolation bracket? They will just mop that shit up.
Oh, he'd be a monster in there.
I know, he would suck it up with a biscuit. All right. I got nothing else to say. Good luck to the people who give a shit this week. We'll be back next week with a game that actually kind of, we'll go over games that actually matter because they will legitimately matter as it'll be the wild card playoff weekend. So until then, I think that'll do it.
Yep. Good night, people.
All right. See you next week. Bye.